Hello there, this is Seth Juarez coming to you from the Moscone Center in San Francisco, California for the Build 2016 edition. I have a couple of guests. Why don't you introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, what you do.
Absolutely. I am Ben Shine. I am the product manager at NPR for NPR One on Windows.
And you, sir?
I'm Ed Snyder. I'm a developer at Inferno Red Technology working closely with NPR.
Fantastic. So let's talk about NPR One. I was going to start and be like, hello, welcome to another episode of Words with Devs. Here we have Ben.
It would have been a good one, too.
I know, right? It was a good one. We just did it, okay? So tell us a little about NPR One, the vision of it, and then we'll get into maybe some architecture.
Sure, absolutely. So a few years ago, we really hit this paradigm shift of seeing our audience migrate away from traditional terrestrial radio. And as everyone knows, mobile devices are becoming more and more pervasive, and so we really started approaching our listening experience from a digital-first mindset, which brought about what is now NPR One. So it went through many transformations, but really what it is it's a personalized, on-demand, and probably most importantly, localized public radio experience. So we've since broadened that, so now it includes things like podcasts that are both produced by NPR, but also other providers. And we've brought that experience to a on-demand experience for the first time, which is brand new for us.
So why don't you describe a little bit NPR One? Is it a program? Is it APIs? What is it from a developer perspective?
That's a good question. So it started off as an app, and as it has evolved, we realized that it was much better suited as a service.
Right.
So it's become a bit of a platform model for us. So we're everywhere now, from connected cars to TVs to forthcoming Xbox. So we're really focusing on it as a platform solution rather than just an app. So over time, we're planning for it to travel with you in the way that your car radio perhaps could not.
I see.
Yeah, so it's really sort of a natural evolution of that public radio experience where NPR is very famous for having what are called car moments, where you hear something, you're driving home from work, you're listening to a really engaging story, you get home and the story's not over yet. So you wind up sitting in the driveway and listening to that content.
Like that Serial podcast,
yeah,
man.
Exactly.
That was craziness.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're really looking at now is how can we take that and make it even better in the digital world, given that with continuation of experiences across multiple devices that we're seeing in the industry in general, it really gives us an opportunity to make it so that users can engage that content when they want it in a way that we've never done before. So
that's awesome. So as with all things, we developers start with a program and then we're like, well, we should do this, and then it seems to be migrated over. So now it's a set of APIs, you're saying, and programs.
Correct. So we have a developer center that we allow anybody who wants to come in and build. So it's all API based. So we have people out there who have developed third-party apps off of our NPR One content. It is all public content, so we've had some really exciting solutions out there that we've seen that we've had people work with us to better our personal experience that we're building internally.
Awesome. So there is one example of this kind of sort of fruition of these APIs into what's called a Universal Windows app that you guys built. Is that correct?
That's right.
So why don't you give us a little demo of what you got, and then we'll get into architecture on how this actually was put together. Cool. All right, so what do we got here?
Sure. So the Windows NPR One experience really sticks to our core premise of the platform, which is to keep it simple.
Right.
So public radio is supposed to be the ability to have that lean back experience and have all the content brought to you. So what was interesting for us when coming to UWP was how do we keep that going, but in a way that you can also bring it to desktop. We'd never designed an experience for desktop before. So what this allowed us to do was say, what have we done really well on a small screen, and how can we bring it to a large screen experience? So you'll see here that we have kept a lot of our navigation from what we've learned on that mobile premise, and we've built it out in such a way that having screens of multiple sizes is flattering. So we've integrated images for the first time. We've also integrated the ability to view story content, which we previously hadn't done on our platform. So what we've seen a lot here is with our analytics from users, or analytics and stories from our users, is they really love the idea of being able to sort of get that glimpse into the future of what content we're bringing them, while also being able to engage with the content that they've already heard, share it, listen to it again, and really come back to it over and over again across all these platforms.
The thing I like about the way you surface this is people might be looking at this and thinking, wow, that's really big for a desktop app. But let's be honest here. I'm washing the dishes or making dinner. I'm just going to push a button.
Yep.
I'm not going to be mouse clicking these
Correct.
things. And so this is actually a very good way of representing this kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really the core of our experience. Is we certainly have users or see users that have a more lean-in experience with our app, but traditionally we see much more engagement.
Consumption,
Consumption that's just a lean-back experience.
Right.
So, for example, on mobile we see literally almost 90 to 95% of our users click play and then put the device or whatever device they're listening to in their pocket. So they're not even looking at the screen.
Right.
Which has definitely created some opportunities for us to create engagement in different ways on that platform. But what we've also started to see is from a desktop experience is if someone is engaging with that experience, one of our directors of mobile likes to call it the chicken hand syndrome. When you're cooking dinner and you have chicken on your hands.
Chicken hand.
Yeah, and you can't touch or play with
I
any of
may
this
or may
stuff.
not
You do
have
it.
chicken hand right now, FYI.
It's okay.
Did you see him move over?
Yeah, you can stay over there. But yeah, so it's really brought us the ability to think, how can we allow screens or a visible screen to add to this experience and not sort of create something that takes away from what the core of it is.
All right, so let's talk code, man. We're going to do some talk shop. Let's talk about the overall architecture of this thing. Okay. Tell us maybe how long it took you to build, what were some of the challenges you faced, and how you overcame them. So sorry to put you on the spot.
No, glad to talk about it. So we started off actually on Windows 8.1 as a universal app, and at that time we had two separate projects, one for phone and one for desktop. And then last year when UWP came about, we actually converged everything into a single application. So we're able to share what we were historically doing, two different views for each platform. We were able to merge that and then use more of the adaptive style of doing triggers and using continuum to do things like detecting mouse when we're on a tablet on a desktop versus a tablet.
Right.
And then we have a completely different experience for mobile. And the cool part is it's actually set us up very well to take this to the Xbox.
And I was going to say that because I thought, they you have the new dev kit for Xbox One. You literally will just lift this and shift it over.
Right.
Do you see any problems with that going forward? I mean, it's all the same thing, right?
It is, absolutely. In fact, we've tinkered around a little bit with that, and it's working pretty smoothly. The only thing we're doing is just adapting the UI to go more for that 10-foot experience, make things even bigger, a little bit more minimal, so that it looks better on a TV. But as far as the code goes, it's all there.
It's all the same code.
All the same code.
So let's see if I can understand, because you've already sort of have this experience of shifting screen size. Is this sort of a XAML change or a code behind change, or using some kind of MVVM strategy? Do the view models all stay the same and now you're just doing XAML stuff? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we're definitely doing MVVM. The view models are the same. There's one view model for every view. And then, like I said, in 8.1 we did have multiple views that we were just swapping in and out as needed. Now those have kind of joined and they're all it's one view, and then we're using things like adaptive triggers to pull things in and out as we need to, depending on which platform we're on.
So for those that don't know about adaptive triggers, why don't you sort of help elucidate that concept for us?
Sure, so in UWP there's a concept known as device families, and so that's everything from mobile, desktop, and now Xbox. And so we wrote a trigger that checks what that family is that we're on, and based on what that is, we can adapt the UI on that single XAML view and change things. Like we could maybe make a stack panel go horizontal versus vertical, depending on the type of device family it's running on. You can also do things based on detecting just the screen size alone, or detecting certain types of hardware.
Are there times where, for example, when you're doing this adaptive stuff, where, for example, you're on your computer and you might not have a GPS unit? How do you detect it? Because you said there was personalized content based upon the location. How do you know when you're on a phone with a GPS versus on a device that might not have GPS? Is there something you're doing with that?
Not necessarily. I mean, we have the location service that's being injected in, and we check to see if you have it. If you don't, then the UI provides the user the ability to just type in their zip code or their city, or if they know the call letters of the station, they can type those in. So there's kind of a fallback for that.
I see. So it's effectively, instead of saying, are you a phone, you're saying, do you have this capability? Because now there's some tablets that have that capability.
Right, exactly.
And then based upon that, you surface some UI to sort of give the answers that you need.
That's right.
So how long did this thing take you to make? I mean, obviously you started in 8. let's just say you have an 8.1 app and you're shifting it over to UWP. Was it a difficult transition?
Nope. It took us about 2 months. I think we started in sometime in September, and by January we had pushed out the Windows 10 version. And then because of that, it's going to take even less time to go to Xbox.
And to be fair on that point, it took us 2 months to get to the Windows 10 experience that we wanted because we wanted to make front-end changes. However, we could have launched our app on Windows 10, I would say after maybe 3 or 4 weeks. It was very, very quick.
I see. So the actual hard work was done.
Yeah.
But then we got into the design work of like, let's change some things,
Exactly.
do a little window.
Yeah, we learned a lot from Windows 8 and 8.1. So when we were building Windows 10, we didn't want to just port over the same experience.
Right.
If we wanted to, we absolutely could have, and it would have been out of the box a very easy process. But we wanted to iterate on that. So that's really what added to our backlog. And more importantly, even then, we were still looking at about 2 months worth of build time, which was pretty incredible.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
So where can folks go to find this app?
Absolutely. The shameless plug, if you will. You can, if you go to NPR, npr.org/about1 or n.pr/about1, you'll find out everything and anything you could possibly want to know about NPR One.
And that's including sort of developer access to the APIs.
Yes, there is a link off there. We have the individual developer portal, which I believe is developer.npr.org, and that's the full-blown developer center where we have both documentation and ways to contact us so we can help build for the platform.
So to finish off the conversation, let's talk about sort of some of the apps that developers are building or that you envision developers building off of your APIs. What kind of things are you servicing? How are they being used?
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing that we're seeing right now is a real interest in Internet of Things. So people are really interested in their connected homes. I mean, I would even extend that to cars.
Right.
But what we're really seeing a major spike in is how can people bring this experience beyond, say, their mobile devices, their desktops, their laptops. So we've seen a significant track of people that are reaching out to us that want to take what we've built natively and build that into devices that we frankly just don't have the resources to build for. So we would love to build an app or a service for everything, but that's why one of the great things about having a community out there of people that are interested in building for us. So it's really exciting to see the things that people want to introduce NPR One to.
Well, this is awesome. If you're a developer and you want to get started using NPR One, you said developer?
Developer.npr.org.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
It's good to see like real universal Windows platform apps being built on top of wonderful platforms like NPR. Thanks so much for being with us. Thanks so much for watching. Again, we're here at Build 2016. My name is Seth Juarez, and we will see you next time. Take care.